Or whatever's left of Marianne. Because I must stress, this is now November the 1st. Marianne was captured on the 28th. Yeah. Marianne was last seen on the 28th. 4 whole days ago. And they never had an opportunity for relationship building. This is weird. While I can always create a clever way for myself under this deluge, it must be difficult to do so without making much noise or leaving tracks.
I don't really have the luxury either, do I?
Considering how off this place feels since I stepped on the property and the mansion came into view, every light is off, even with the scrutiny of security personnel on patrol outside. The whole house itself feels empty, eerie, too quiet. Normally I pass it off as some kind of power outage because of the storm. It's not a far off conclusion when the place is almost in the middle of fucking nowhere. However, something just feels wrong.
Something happened here.
Or about to. The sole reason why I haven't done anything yet is simply observing, watching, listening for anything. I might be pressed for time, but I'm not a careless idiot. Although I need a way in, desperately so, moving without thinking will only endanger me. With so many unknown variables and what we're dealing with, I also have to act on the assumption that someone is always in danger, especially in this place. I can't act impetuously. Much as I hate Wright, I'm not about to cause his death because of one thoughtless action. There's a place he deserves to be at. It's in a prison, not a morgue. Well, this is going to go well. So, when a hoarse, painful sob suddenly rings out above the loud pitter-patter of rain, only then do I stir. A woman. Perhaps a servant? Or worse, Hannah Wright? It's coming from the forest. Just right up ahead, in fact, not too far from the house. Regardless, I give the place a quick, wary glance before following the noise. Carefully keeping to the shadows, one cautious step after another. Louder and louder it goes as I near, until it abruptly turns into a loud, desperate, anguished cry. I break into a run, one nervous hand ready on the gun holstered at my hip, and the other raised for balance as I scurry across the dense understory. This is actually giving me a really, really uneasy feeling. The leaves crunch under my shoes, but I pay them no mind. There's only the voice, the woman, and nothing. Abruptly it all stops, and when I'm met with a sudden hush, blank, empty, almost deafening in the stillness. Even with my laboured breathing and pounding heartbeats against my ears, behind me another branch breaks and...
Help me.
Dread surges within me as I spin around and take a hard step back, ignoring the chilly pinpricks crawling up the back of my neck. Before I can even meet her eyes, the world unexpectedly pitches sideways, tilting, and tilting to the ground beneath me till the ground beneath me finally crumbles. My hands fight for purchase, only to meet air. But then, it's too late. My foot slips further, and the rest of my body follows. Dark spots blur the edges of my vision. Black tendrils twist and coil around my limbs. Soft footfalls echo from the far distance, scurrying, scampering, moving in an odd rhythm with the sharp, piercing notes of her laughter. But more than that are the voices, lacing venom inside every crevice in my mind. Murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride. Over, because you didn't listen. And over, it's all your fault. And over again. Why won't you believe me? They're the voices what you heard last time. A reminder of what I've failed to do and who I've failed. what I'm trying desperately to fix. A scream threatens to burst, but my throat closes off ever so slowly. A chill sleeps into every nerve in my body, washing away every sensation inside me apart from one. There is only fear. Once again, her laughter echoes, a sound both bitter and unforgiving. It's the last thing I hear before she reaches for me. The ground trembles. The world slows to a stop. We're in the catacombs, to which this is where Marianne is. I'm very interested to see whether Marianne's still alive. Because something which would completely throw any notion of a theory to this game that I have is if this woman isn't trying to kill people, she's trying to enslave them because she was a slave. Anyway, half darkness greets me when my eyes finally snap open, the soft patter of dripping water somewhere spurring in my consciousness further. For a few short moments I remain still, blinking away the dizziness. Allowing my vision to adjust to the lack of light and my breathing to even out at first, before pushing myself up on one arm and attempting to stand. Turning alone is a struggle on its own. Every inch of movement sends stabs of sharp pain right up my arms and my back, giving me another pause.
Shit. I hope I didn't break anything. Fuck.
There doesn't seem to be any injury or major fracture, although the whole of my back does feel sore and raw. Probably where I skidded down prior to landing myself here. Comforting thought. The second attempt comes easier later, though no less painful. By the time I'm back on my feet, the exertion has left me gasping in short, shallow breaths and leaning heavily on the wall nearest to me. Behind me, a light draft blows from where I've fallen in, coming in short, sharp bursts into what's apparently an underground tunnel, and brings in the fresh, earthy smell of rain from the topside. Regardless, it fails to mask the old, musty scent of the place, a mixture of mould, mildew, dust, grease, and something distinctly foul, like death. More worrisome than the putrid, festering smell, however, are the cells that line both sides of the tunnel. Under the dim light, I can barely make out what's inside some of them, but I already have a few ideas, all of which I refuse to delve into at the moment. Knowing how long this mansion has stood, somehow, no matter how unexpected finding the existence of this place is, it isn't too surprising.
I wonder if Scumbag knows about this.
Probably not, unless he's also the kind of person who takes joy inflicting this kind of suffering on others. I don't really think so. He's rotten to the core, but not that rotten. He'll probably bark at this, move out at the first opportunity, and have it demolished. The very idea of what has occurred in this place years ago makes me reel. As well, I've known long ago places like this tend to hold secrets. This, though? This is just the tip of the iceberg. I fear what I may discover in the mansion itself and the tale behind that fucking letter. The fear's inconsequential. As unpleasant as the sight of this is, the place might also be the only way for me to get inside unnoticed. Sighing and taking one last gulp of clean air, I push away from the wall and delve deeper into the passage.
Let's just hope it'll be smooth sailing from here on.
Turns out that alone is too much to ask for this early. That's Marianne. Not 20 paces into it, another sound abruptly rises above my footfalls, rebounding off the hollow walls and echoing inaudibly across the whole span of the tunnel before fading away just as swiftly as it rang. I pause, nevertheless, straining my ears for more of it, while I gradually move my hand to my side, slow and steady until the tips of my fingers brush against the gun's handle. Although cold against my skin, it's the closest thing I have to comfort at the moment. For a long minute, I wait, holding my breath, watching every form, edge, and shadow at the corners of my vision for any movement. For a heartbeat and nothing, I allow the attention to ease out of me, in the form of a long, slow exhale that reverberates around the whole passage.
Who's there?
Perhaps it's because of what has happened earlier and how I've ended up here, or maybe it's because of my training. But in spite of the panic and fear in that voice, I don't immediately answer. Instead, I pull my gun free of the holster and wordlessly draw closer to the voice rings out once again. Afraid. Frantic. We?
I'm asking you a question. Who's there?
That's Marianne. Only after I realise the safety do I answer, while continuing my approach in a careful, steady pace.
I think I should be the one asking you that. Who are you? Show yourself.
I can't. I'm stuck in here.
Well, a ghost will definitely not be saying that or have a conversation like this or be stuck anywhere. And as if to prove her point, she extends a hand from one of the cells and waves. As she pulls back, grips the iron bars and rattles it lightly.
I can't get out. Can you help?
In 5 quick steps, I'm standing in front of the cell, and sure enough, a woman's inside. Slumped on the floor, holding the bars with shaking hands, clinging onto it as if the only thing keeping her upright. Not just any woman.
You? McLaughlin?
The same one I've met at G's 5 days ago, smashed drunk and babbling her frustrations about her employers.
Holmes?
No, not McLaughlin. McCullough. Marianne McCullough, famous interior designer extraordinaire. Why is she not in the picture? Not so extraordinary now, with how exhausted and feeble she looks trapped in a jail cell of all things. Her breathing shallow, and there's paleness to her complexion, sunken eyes, cracked lips, dry skin, all signs pointing to starvation and dehydration.
What? How long have you been stuck in here?
3 days? 4? I don't know. I have no idea anymore. I just fell in, and that woman, whatever. Can you get me out of here? Please.
In a moment. But here, go feed yourself first before you fall over.
I fish out an energy bar from my pocket. Good guy Ashton. And hand it to her. She's lucky I always have one on my person. For sudden emergencies or extended stakeouts, a little sugar to keep me going. Like any starving person, she wastes no time in grabbing it, unwrapping it straight away, and taking the whole mouthfuls of it. Relief washes over her face at the first bite alone, although she's going to need more than that if what she said is true. But for the moment, it's enough to keep her alive. Good thing she seems to have the sense to prioritise survival over comfort if the puddle on the corner of her cell indicates anything. Without water, the human body can only survive 3 days, no food, and I'll give it an average of 3 weeks. No, even then, it won't be a pretty experience. Granted, some have lasted longer than that. She's still fortunate I found her when I did. Now to get her out. My bobby pins won't be of any use here, not like I need it. Unlike the ones I have at the precinct, a simple barrel hinged holds the gate of this cell together. Oh. So it's a Pirates of the Caribbean jobby. With the right application of force and the right leverage, the door will simply pop free. Without any specialist tools, I'll be able to lift the door and free her. However, with how heavy it seems, I'll need a lever of some sort to help.
What are you looking for?
Some wood, a 2x4, I guess, a plank or a pipe, anything I can use as a lever. Wait here.
The hallway yields nothing but dust, dirt, and a few rusted chains scattered about. While I may find something in one of the open cells, I'm reluctant to check or even step in. Good. We can't have another person trapped in here, however McCullough ended up inside.
Yes, no?
My head snaps back to her. McCullough extricates a wooden board from under the mess of hay and twine near her. Without prompting, she slips it through what little space there is between the bars. It's short, but it appears thick and sturdy enough for my intended purpose. That's a set of stocks.
Good enough.
I hope. I get to work at once, anchoring one. Yep, it is literally Pirates of the fucking Caribbean shit. I get to work at once, anchoring the other end of the plank at the base of the door and applying ample force on the other end. Takes a bit of effort, no kidding about the heavy part. Still, a grunt, a gasp, a creak. In a matter of minutes, With a little help from her on the other side, the door eventually lifts off its hinges. It falls to the ground with a loud, ugly, metallic thud, but the sound of it puts elation on McCullough's face. She doesn't even ask for help. As soon as she can, she hastily crawls out of the prison she's been accidentally found herself in, more than happy to get out of it despite lacking the strength to stand firmly on her feet.
Thank you. Thank you so much. After the second day, I was so sure I was going to die in there. If you didn't show up, today, I don't even want to think about it.
How did you even end up here?
For a second, she appears hesitant, looking away and fumbling awkwardly with her fingers.
I was looking for someone.
Contemplative expression flickers in her eyes, something that's close to wistful, like when a person remembers a memory she's fond of. It doesn't last long, but it still leaves the impression that I've suddenly walked into something private. Something deeply personal for her I'd rather not ask.
So this whole tunnel, at the end of it, it leads right inside the mansion?
The wine cellar.
Right into the kitchen, then.
There's a door of some sorts. I don't know. I think I pulled or pressed something somewhere. I was in a hurry. And I'm not sure if it'll open from this side. Hell, this place wasn't even in the floor plans.
What do you mean? Oh, I thought he wasn't going to voice it then.
Does that really matter now? We have to get out of here. People died in this place. Kids! Oh God! Kids! I could have shown you, but that thing won't turn back on anymore.
Oh, she's losing her mind.
It's like it only waited for me to see it before shutting down or something. How long has that thing even been in there? But those poor kids. All because of that thing.
Wait, hold on. What are you talking about right now?
The bloody letter! Ever since I've read that thing, since that day at the open house, she won't leave me. But it should be fine now, right? I broke it. I broke all of it. She shouldn't be able to do anything now.
McCullough, one at a time.
It's all that fucking paper's fault! Oh God. Oh God. Dear Lord in St. Adelaide, bless those poor souls. We're not safe here. We need to leave. If we stay here any longer...
McCullough!
Abruptly, she stops, looking back at me with wild, panic-stricken eyes. I've seen enough of it so many times in the past few days, from my own friends even. To know she has seen things, the kind that'll easily make any person go mad, and perhaps we slowly are. The longer this takes, the faster our descent into it becomes. I can't even tell which one's worse, death or this. Seems like no matter what we end up with, there'll be something horrid waiting for us. I need to hurry.
Listen, I need to get inside this place, and you're more familiar with its layout. If you can help me...
What? No! Why would I go back? Are you sure you haven't gotten raving mad yet? An exit's right here.
And this business with the letter has to end at some point. Look, I know you're not very fond of Luke Wright.
Damn right I'm not. He can just go.
But are you really sure you want to leave him like this? And what about his wife?
Strikes a chord. She falters, grows quiet as the tension lifts from her and her shoulders slump. I do understand her issues with this. In fact, she doesn't want to go. She doesn't have to go with me, only tell me enough info so I can figure it out on my own. She can always leave afterwards, be done with this whole damn mansion and letter. The other end of the tunnel leads right into the forest. It'll provide ample cover for her to be able to slip out of the property unnoticed. All the same, she steels herself and squares her shoulders. For a woman, this thing that can attack at any moment, are you sure you want to let her run away alone out of a place where this thing, trapped her? Ashton.
Just until the kitchens.
That's more than enough.
She nods, albeit weakly, and without another word, she gestures for me to follow, leading me further into the passage. Occasionally she'll stop, find purchase on the wall to catch her breath, but throughout the short walk she asks for neither break nor assistance. I suppose that's something we have in common. Eventually, we get to a dead end. Although before I can question her on it, she begins palming for something on the wall, tracing her fingers along weathered edge of the brick with a frown on her face.
It should be somewhere here. I think.
What the hell are you doing?
She merely holds up a hand, begging for my silence as she continues searching. And then, without warning, a few minutes later, something clicks. A portion of the wall swings ajar and reveals a glimpse into another room. Bottles lining the walls, liquor, barrels for aging. The wine cellar indeed.
The ladder to the kitchen is on the far end of this room.
Surreal. This is all nothing but a surreal nightmare, but after everything, should this even be a surprise to me? Ghosts, curses, hidden passages. I can't even bring myself to question the existence of this door anymore. I simply follow it to the Undercroft without a single question, in spite of a number of them already swimming inside my head. As a kid, I used to crave for this kind of adventure. The stuff of mysteries and detective novels, daring chases, interesting cases to solve, suspects put behind bars, justice to serve. I was blinded, I admit. Now I simply want this to be over. I'll be back in a minute. Right. I don't know why that didn't unmute that time. I might have hit the wrong button. Hold on. There we go. Cool. I didn't even read all that. We leave the door open in case there's a need of a quick exit, especially after she mentioned it's the only chance she's been able to open the door last time. It's only by chance. We can't waste time finding a switch again on the occasion something goes horribly wrong. But there's bound to be. With me feeling this high-strung and tense, I'm not even sure why I thought this would be a good idea to enlist McCullough's help. Although she has been quite helpful so far, I can't shake off the horrid feeling that something's going to happen to her if she stays with me. Even if I'm her safest bet if she wants to get out of this place alive.
You really believe that, don't you?
Did you say something?
McCullough pauses mid-step, turning to me confused.
I didn't.
You sure? I just heard...
Don't you think I'll be the first person who will know? Look, the ladder leading to the kitchen's up ahead. You might want to hurry. I just want to be done with this place.
See? You dragged another one.
This time, I'm sure. There's really a voice. Well, voices. Despite the look of protest McCullough shoots me, I find myself stopping and looking back and searching in the immediate surroundings for the familiar form of the woman. I don't even have to venture far from where I'm standing. Just an arm's length away from me, mirror shards litter the floor, and right there on the biggest fragments... They speak. All singing the same mocking tune against my ears, letting it echo throughout the small Undercroft. Murmurs and laughters, jeering, scoffing, deriding, lacing venom into every crevice in my head, taunting me.
You dragged another person into this ashen.
Into another one of your silly little problems.
Only because you can't fix them on your own.
This is fucking intense, man. Just needed to send a quick message.
You really haven't changed, have you? Some hero you are.
Useless.
Whose is that voice?
Pathetic.
You're wrong.
He's losing his shit. He really is losing his shit now. My mistake lies in the first instance I've answered. The very second denial has slipped from my mouth, their words have also seeped into my heart, allowing it to prod and rouse my temper. Despite knowing they are merely doing this to goad me, each word, each syllable trickle into me, spurring the guilt I've hoped I've long buried.
Or is that simply what you've been telling yourself all this time? Something to make yourself feel better, perhaps?
This is fucking crazy, man.
You're the one who took that letter off Isabella's hand that day. You're the one who opened it.
How does it feel, I wonder, to know you're responsible for all of this?
I didn't even take into account that Ashton was the one who opened it.
What do you think I'm doing? Why do you think I'm still trying to fix this?
Oh, but you can't. It's already too late, and you know that. You know all of this is futile.
Just face it, Ashton Frey. You're a failure, and they are the ones who have to pay for it.
A badge and a gun, and you still can't protect your own friends. Can't even solve a case for an old man.
Can't even bring the right to justice.
Can't even keep his own family together. No wonder they left you. Before you do the same thing to them.
Mom and Dad are better off without little old you, aren't they? It's a good thing they had the sense.
They had the sense?
Pitiful, isn't it? Some detective you are. Some friend you are. Some son you are. You might as well just throw that rank away. You're no use to people either way.
Shut it!
I hate this. I hate how this monster can easily get through to me. Every weakness, every insecurity, it knows. To hear it said in my friends' voices even more so. What I hate above all else is it's...
You know it's true, though.
All of it. It's why all you can do is tell us to shut up. You don't want to hear a single word, because you're already aware of it. You can't even admit it to yourself. Who's the coward now?
But no matter how hard you try, you're not gonna be able to save anyone.
Shut it! Not a single word anymore!
In the end, your own incompetence will eventually lead to the deaths of everyone you care about.
Wait. Maybe? Maybe that's the game's way of trying to say if I didn't have his close relationships sorted out. It laughs sharp and piercing as it sounds. Something in me snaps. A rage hastily unfurling, red filling my vision, and the next thing I know I'm raising my hand and... something grabs my wrist, followed by a buzz of another voice breaks through the haze.
Don't listen to it!
The fog from my mind lifts. Every sound, every noise returns to me, flooding my every senses. All at once, there is a deafening silence. Slowly, I become aware of my surroundings. Bottles of wine, barrels of liquor, the faint old scent of death and decay somewhere, and a hand holding onto my wrist as if to keep me from hurting myself. In my hands, a shard, blood drips from where it's cut my palm, trailing down my wrist until it disappears behind my sleeve. Not too deep, negligible even. There is pain, however, a different kind, an ache somewhere else that stems from wound, but where every single word is hit. Jesus. When I glance up at McCullough, she merely stares at me with wide, horrified eyes.
Don't listen to it! No matter what happens, don't do what it says! It's how it gets us.
My grip on the shard falters, but only after I nod and drop it entirely does she release her grip. Afterwards, she simply steps back and looks away, hugging her arms closer to herself. She breathes a sigh, heavy. Perhaps weighted with her own guilt, what this monster might have used against her.
Come on, we're getting close.
She walks off without another comment, but there's worry as she gives the fragments one last glimpse. On the ground, they lie lifeless now. No more voices, no more insults. But even as I walk away, one whispered taunt continues to ring in my ears.
It's useless, Ashton Frey. You are going to die.
And you are going to die alone.
A fear. One that has been long kept in the darkest place of my heart. One that a small part of me wishes for. The trapdoor swings open without much fuss. It isn't even locked, probably left open when the Wrights asked for some midnight snack. I'll make sure the coast is clear, of course, before I pull myself to help McCullough up. The butler of theirs is nowhere to be seen. He's probably sleeping, attending to his master, or doing some extra late night work before turning in for the night. Meanwhile, Wright won't touch anything without the won't touch anything to do with the menial chores, not even with a 10-foot pole. It is next to impossible for him to linger here. No servants. No anyone. It's just as easy as that. We're in. Gently, I close the hatch as if things go well, the same path will be our way out. If our luck doesn't hold, that's not an option now, is it? I have people waiting for me. It was all them. Confession of love. Jesus Christ. I really don't want to think of what might happen. Sometimes it's best if we simply revel in the little victories. They're great blessings when everything else is going against you. And in a place that is fraught with unknown dangers, it's a feeling that only lasts but a second. Suddenly a sob. Oh, come on. He's really laying it on thick now. Ringing out from some distant part of the house, echoing through its empty halls. Beside me, slumped on the ground, pale and heavy breathing, McCullough immediately tenses. Her eyes go wide and she grips the side of the counter with a force that might be enough to crack it if only she had the strength. As it is, she can barely stand, she hasn't fully recovered. Makes sense of the 3 or more days without proper food or water. And it's in this weakness that puts fear in her eyes. He's aware. If something happens, if there's a need to run, she won't be able to. She's a liability at this point.
Holmes, I really don't think going any further is a good idea. Look at this place. Everything seems fine. Nothing's off. Maybe we should just go? I really don't like the sound of that.
You really don't have to come with me. Just until the kitchen, yeah? We're already here. You've done your part. From here on, I'm going on my own.
Yes, I said that, but...
Can you even stand?
She doesn't answer.
You'll only be putting yourself in more danger if you follow after me. You have an easy way out of here. Stay here. Once you're okay, I need you to get yourself out of this place.
What? I'm not going to leave you!
Well, I'm not taking you with me either, lady. So it's here or out there.
You really are mad, aren't you?
Would seem so.
Probably all will be, if no one fixes this little curse problem we have.
You think you'll find something in here? This is just a mansion, for God's sake!
Maybe. It's worth a shot. Besides, if what we're hearing right now says anything, I'd say scumbags.
Who?
Right. He might be knee-deep in trouble and he has no idea about it.
McCullough still appears as if she's about to argue, so instead of more words, I unholster my taser and hand it to her. Standard issue for every member of Luxborn Police Force, but it shouldn't take a genius to know how to aim and fire one. Even Isabella might just be able to use it without training. Yeah, Miss Interior Designer Extraordinaire stares it as if I'd just handed her something particularly nasty.
Listen, you want to wait? Fine. I'm leaving this with you. But if I don't come back here within 15 minutes, I want you to backtrack and get the hell out of here.
Are you daft, Holmes? I already told you.
In case something goes wrong, I need someone who can tell people what's going on. Who can tell my friends what might have happened here. They're at the crawl. You know the place, right?
I trail off, letting the meaning of my words hang in the air. I want to be optimistic about this, really. However, I'm going against something almost everyone can't quite understand. I'm just being realistic with my chances. McCullers seems to understand this as well after what I've said. Any sign of protest had died from her tongue and simply looks at the taser quietly. After a moment, she just nods. Beyond the walls of this room, the cries continue to grow louder, and I take it as a sign to leave. Without another word, I slip out of the door. Like a siren call, her voice beckons. You're a fucking idiot, Frey. Finding out who that is seems good a place to start as any. I keep to the shadow for the most part. Not that there's any need to, the entire place just feels empty. Odd when a house this big should have a large staff. You'd think there'll be one or two roaming about doing some late night chores, or someone seeking out whoever's creating this ruckus. There's none, however.
Shouldn't they have security posted inside as well?
Unless the security means butler, though I doubt Scumbag's that sloppy. He loves his life more than anything. Probably more than his own wife. And the things he's done, he's bound to make more than an enemy or two. He's also the kind who'll do anything to keep himself safe. I love how this is supposed to be completely away from the main road. You can still hear cars in the background.
I wonder what he'll say when he finds out that there's something not human living with him in his own house.
Potential dangers aside, being on my own grants me a greater degree of mobility, which I'm more comfortable with. Sure, I could have enlisted McCuller's help. Next to the people who owns this, she probably is the one who's most familiar with the mansion. But the cons of bringing her outweigh the pros. She's better off somewhere a quick exit is in sight. With no tag along, I only have to worry about myself, watch my back. Selfish, I know.
Necessary.
In the same manner, this whole plan is, no matter how idiotic... In the same manner, this whole plan is, no matter how idiotic going into it is. Besides, I don't really need a guide when the house's layout is fairly simple, almost mirrored, with only a few modifications to the rooms. Although I've only been here once, I think I already got a good grasp of this place's ins and outs. As long as you can tell which is east and west, it shouldn't be too hard to find my way around. After the dining room, the main foyer should be the next thing that greets me. Where the woman's cries are leading me. Honestly, after what happened outside, I'm not sure I should be trusting what I'm hearing. But with the whole house somehow seemingly devoid of any of its inhabitants, I'm inclined to look into this. More than surviving this curse, a huge part of my training speaking.
I just hope this isn't a crime scene I'm walking into.
But nothing's ever that simple, is it? Not when you're dealing with the supernatural. Nope. Because as soon as my feet cross into the next room, something shifts. In a flash, nearly without fanfare. It happens in the blink of an eye, I almost miss it. One moment there's red, in the next, I'm standing alone in the foyer. This house is a big fucking bag of nope. For a brief instant, I pause, glancing wildly about the place, blinking twice as if my movements will spur the vision back. Yet, nothing. No blood dripping from the walls, none trailing down the stairs or pulled on the floor. No eyes watching my every moment. Only the same cries gradually growing in intensity the longer I dally, along with a voice.
Mother.
Desperate.
Where are you, Mother?
Pleading.
Mother, please. I don't want to be alone.
That's Hannah's voice. coming from the same direction I heard the cries from, upstairs. The place not entirely empty then. A better question now is, who? Definitely not Scumbag or the butler. I've yet to see hide now, hair of them, and not knowing their whereabouts puts me on edge. I have to be careful not to make any noise or be seen. Maybe the wife, though I can't really tell if it's her, the way the walls echo her voice. Nevertheless, it pushes me to move. Taking almost 2 steps at a time, despite the sickening feeling that something's lurking behind every great shadow. Every small corner I pass, as if the house has several eyes watching my every movement. As if something alive dwells behind the walls itself. I tried to shake it off, but the uneasy sensation that has made its home in the very pit of my stomach, dread, and it only grows deeper the closer I get. The relative emptiness of the place doesn't help either, neither does the harsh wind battering on the windows, nor the sheets of rain pelting down on the roof. For a fleeting second I find myself wishing for Scumbag to simply show up. I don't get too far down that train of thought. Abruptly, the cries stop, replaced with...
Mother, please. She's here. She's here, Mother. She's going to take me. She won't leave, Mother.
I think I'm on the right fucking page, but it wasn't that she had a son, she had a daughter.
I don't want to go with her. Tell her to go away. Mother! Mother, she's here! Help!
That can't be good. Adrenaline overcomes me in a rush. In no 2 heartbeats, my feet already moving before the sense can catch up or doubt creeps up to me. My hands ready at the holster as I hastily set off for the far side of the hall. One alarmed footstep after another, while struggling to keep the sense of panic at bay. Door lies ajar at the end, coming from the floor above.
She's going to hurt me! Help me!
I don't like this. Do not hesitate. Moving in despite the lack of light, the steep stairs, or the thick layer of dust kicking up within my every step. I pause only a moment upon reaching the top. Then without wasting a second, I push the door open. Wait, that's Charlotte Ermengarde. What the fuck? She sits in the middle of the room, shoulders hunched, shaking. Her hands cover her face as she weeps, oblivious to my presence. As if she has heard neither my footsteps nor the soft creaking of the door continuing undisturbed, like I'm standing in time far removed from her. She doesn't even flinch when I call out to her.
Hey, are you alright?
Mother, I've done it, Mother. Take me with you, please. I can still hear her. She's here. Help me! Help me, please!
Oh shit! Did it ever mention Charlotte Ermengarde dying? I'm pretty sure somewhere at some point it said that she took her own life. Belatedly, I noticed the blood on her hands. If it's the same one drenching the whole attic, I'd rather not know. How the whole room has ended up like this is the least of my problems at the moment. Even the single human body doesn't have this much blood. So, bodies? The thought sends an unpleasant twinge in my stomach. Does Wright even know about this? He's bad news alright, but this? It's beneath him. He'll definitely balk at the sight of this. Anyone will. Yet the woman lingers here, unmoving at the sight, letting her sobs fill the room. Repeating the words over and over again like a prayer of salvation. To whom? The mess of parchment she's left on the floor. But just what the hell is happening? Oh
Hey,
my god,
lady,
she'd do it.
You?
Is the letter from her? Oh, here we go. The rest of that question never makes it out. I don't even see it coming. Should have been more aware, on guard, really. There's a little I can do as a well-placed blow on the back of my knees sends me to stumble. The momentum alone sends me reeling forward. It barely ever even registers in my head that the woman's gone. The room's normal as it can be. Not above the pain suddenly shooting up my side when I hit the floor. I don't even get enough chance to get my bearings back when a hard enough blow to the stomach causes me to buckle down and land heavy on my knees. Gasping, I fumble wildly for my gun, although before I'm able to turn, level it and shoot, a hand grabs my wrist and twists it. Hard. A gasp. A grunt. A cry of pain slips past my mouth. The gun falls on the floor with a thunk. As soon as it lands, a foot kicks it out of my reach and it slides uselessly under the bed. Has he been caught by security? The agony suddenly explodes in my chin, jerking loose a sharp cry of pain as stars fill the edge of my vision. A brief moment of regret hits me as it's relieving my taser with McCullough when a piece of cloth closes around my neck. Without warning, my attacker pulls tight. Wait, is this going to be Luke? I'm left gasping, choking and clawing for air, blindly reaching behind me as I still try to fight him off and loosen the pressure around my neck. Except any sort of movement only causes him to pull it taut.
My, so many rats scurrying about in this mansion lately.
It's Johannes! Right, Butler. Shit.
Tell me, what did you do with the madam?
I have no idea what he's talking about. Did something happen to Hannah Wright?
Go! You asshole!
Now, Dummkopf, you're in no position to be rude. Last time I checked, I'm not the one breaking into other people's homes. Now answer my question. What did you do with the madam?
The pain rings and resonates through my already sore body. Still, I managed to ride it out and spit, mutinous.
You. Keep that dirty mouth babbling and you're getting a knife in the kidney. I assure you it will be more painful than this.
Are they trying to set it up that Johannes is the murderer? He really doesn't need to threaten me by now. It's all too much to bear at this point. My lungs feel like they're burning with the lack of air. Dark spots begin to fill the edges of my vision. Ever so slowly, the world around me dims. My consciousness rapidly slips away from me, without meaning to.
Get away from him!
The hell? Hearing that voice, it's as if I've been doused with a bucket full of ice, cold water, familiar, too familiar. More importantly, it shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be hearing it here. She shouldn't be here. Immediately my eyes snap open. And right there in the attic's doorway stands Isabella of all people. Rolling pin in one hand, the standard issue police taser on the other. My taser? Must have borrowed it from McCullough. Where else would she have gotten one? I doubt she has ever used one. Hell, the way she holds it right now, this guy can easily disarm her in one hit. But there's something in her eyes. Although there's a look of fear in them and a hand shake, she keeps the weapon trained, pointed at the scumbag's lackey. Untrained or not, she does not plan to leave here without putting up a fight, it seems. Admirable, really, but it's just not something we need right now. I need her to be away from here. Why is Isabella here? But the chances of that happening grows slim with every laughter that slips from him.
Oh, this is just getting better and better. The Bratwurst won't be pleased with the number of bodies we have to dispose of today, you know.
Fuck, man.
Tell me, how many of you are there? So I can prepare the proper number of bags.
What the fuck is going on? Why is she here in the first place? Did she follow me here? Who else came with her? Zach? Rebecca? Are they all here? Why have I got so many story updates? Panic surges within me. She knows how bad the situation is, but does she really have to run in here and expose herself like that? Does she even know how to use a taser? For fuck's sake, it's more worrying for my more than worrying for my life. It's her I'm concerned about. Getting strangled, dying by choking isn't part of the plan, but her following me here isn't either. So Luke literally is a murderer. Or Johannes is their hired hitman who masquerades as a butler. This is why I prefer to do things alone. This is why I'd rather be the only one to take the consequences. I don't even want to think what this bastard might do to her after he's done with me. When my voice comes off nearly a croak, I try to tell her as much. She has to leave. Stay far away from here and these people.
Don't! Damn it, Isabella! Get out of here!
Another bout of pain erupts from my side, cutting off my words. A cry of agony bursts from my mouth. I can taste blood in my tongue as I heave, attempting to get in as much air, despite the towel still coiled around my neck.
Ash?
You're going to lose air quickly that way, Dummkopf. Better keep it shut.
Get out! 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 Val!
Don't be stupid! I'm not leaving you here!
He laughs. Too cruel, too unforgiving. The way each note beats against my ears in spite of the warmth in them sends chills down my spine. This is a man whose hands have already been stained with blood before. He won't hesitate.
I'd follow his advice if I were you, little girl. What could you possibly do with a toy? Just hand it over and be on your way. It'll probably be too difficult for a little girl like you to use.
Go on, Isabella, just fucking pull the trigger. There's a moment of silence. Okay, I can barely keep my eyes open. But in the next second, though, I still don't exactly understand what's happening. Isabella shouts. Not a cry of pain. Not a yell of panic. One that's resolute. Firm. Perhaps in the tone that's leagues fiercer than any I've heard from her before.
Try me! Ashton, duck!
I do. More out of instinct and desire to survive, closing my eyes before my mind can fully process what's going on. Fucking go, Isabella! It all happens in a blur. Telltale sound of a taser being discharged resounds through the room. The air crackles, something whizzes by almost too close to my ear, followed by the thud of something blunt connecting solidly with another object. Next thing I know, the towel strangling me has started to loosen. I collapse on the floor, dazed and gasping for air. From my peripheral, through the haze of blood rushing and sound slowly filtering back, the butler buckles, he spasms once, and then without much fuss, he falls face first beside me, knocked unconscious by 50,000 volts of electricity and a fucking rolling pin. Taser! Pin! Oh my god. He'll be out for a while. Yeah, no shit. I had no idea whether I should laugh or cry at that. Somewhere in front of me, my oxygen-deprived brain vaguely registers Isabella's form. She slumps on the floor, also heavy breathing. Right next to her trembling hands, both the taser and the rolling pin lie useless and forgotten while the mood in the room eases. A long, gradual process of tension lifting. For countless seconds we remain quiet, with only our short gasps and sighs filling the silence, allowing the adrenaline to ebb away and both of our breathings to slow. Not a true repose by any mean, but simply a brief respite. I still can't get over the fact that she just went, taser, pin, ugh. It's fucking nuts. There's still the curse. We're still inside the mansion, in imminent danger. We still have no idea how to fix this. Outside, the rain seems to only intensify. Lightning flashes fleeting somewhere. White and piercing the sky, and the sky rumbles. No rest for the wicked. I stir first. Once recovered, having regained some semblance of sense and strength, breathing still hurts, but it's bearable, as in moving. Although every small motion causes a wince, there will be bruising tomorrow. I can manage. Retrieving my gun from under the bed is easy, but only with some effort am I able to drag an unconscious man to the far end of the room, snapping one end of the handcuff on his wrist while fastening the other to the bed frame. I should keep him restrained for a few hours, in case he wakes up prematurely. Although, all through this, Isabella stays quiet. In fact, he hasn't even moved since. Her hands still shake, and taking long draws of breath as she stares vacantly in front of her, almost as if she's in shock. Perhaps she isn't even expecting any results. Spurred on by some kind of desperation. Now it's sinking in. But fortunately, we need to get moving. We don't have time to wait for everything to register in our heads. Kneeling in front of her, I give her a light shake.
Belle, we need to go. We can't stay here.
Slowly she turns, staring at me with those wide eyes. Worry flickers briefly in them, along with something ineffable. Then, without warning, she lifts a hand and slaps me right across the face. Those eyes. Holy shit, them eyes. The sound of it cracks the air, shattering the silence like a fragile glass breaking. Despite the familiar rumble of thunder outside, it manages to ring louder above the storm. It's no fucking surprise that you're eating Chinese. I don't even know what hit me until my head has already snapped back and my cheek stings with her anger. And it is anger, in spite of the stillness and the lack of words. Afterwards, not fuming though. Never fuming, but the kind that burns lightly and soundlessly. A frustration instead of a seething rage. One that ebbs just as quickly as it flows, and once the tide subsides, there's only that gleam in her eyes, warm, steadfast, and unflinching. That's not a warm glare. Quietly, I brace myself for the truth underneath that gaze. It slips from her lips, softly, nearly fading under the sound of the rain still falling fast, if not for the weight in each of her words.
What is wrong with you?
And that is still not a warm look. Yeah.
Belle.
If Zach didn't slip up, no one would have known where you went.
Belle, one person knowing is enough. Any more than that, and
You almost died. He could have suffocated you right then and there, and you could have died.
I told Zach to give me 4 hours. That would have been enough time to...
Taser, rolling pin. Fucking OP combo. Can we have that in every game from now on? Every game. Oh, you're playing Halo. Taser, rolling pin. Taser, rolling pin.
It would have been too late. And by the time anyone ever finds out, you're already fertilizer.
She trails off, drags in one drawn breath after another. A brief lull as her frustration finally dissolves into something more pensive and somber. The shoulders droop and though her voice still rises hoarse and weary, in the next words there are only certainty.
You count too, you know. When I said, that night when I told you I don't want to lose anyone anymore, that includes you, alive. We're still here, Ash. You have us.
And once the meaning fall, roar, it does so not with force of a dam breaking or a raging storm, but with the gentle, steady warmth of a hearth burning, an ember easily slowing, lightly rising and giving until all that's left is the truth and understanding. I'm not alone. never alone. It lingers even as we both drift into silence after a word take root, because in the gratitude that swells after is another warmth blooming. Pleasant, welcoming, like finding home, like finding ourselves in the haze a squall has left, creating something fragile yet immutable in both of us. In her eyes, in the way that she holds my gaze, unwavering in the way she holds herself, despite sitting amidst the place she fears.